May 8th, 1945. Germany had surrendered. The war was over, but peace hadn't arrived yet. In a field near the Elbe River, a column of exhausted women trudged through the fading light. Their gray uniforms hung loose on their frames, boots heavy with mud. Among them was Liesel Wagner, 24 years old, a former communications aide in the German army. She hadn't slept in 2 days. None of them had. When the American convoy appeared over the ridge, the women froze. Trucks, olive drab, marked with white stars, stopped just ahead. The sound of boots on gravel. Orders shouted in English. The women's hearts pounded. They had heard the stories. That captured Germans, especially women, would be executed, humiliated, or worse. Some whispered prayers, others clutched each other's hands, trembling. An American sergeant stepped forward. His rifle hung loosely, not raised. He spoke through an interpreter. "You are prisoners of war. You will be processed and fed federal." The word didn't register at first. They were herded toward a small clearing, a makeshift camp surrounded by barbed wire, but with tents, not cells. A field kitchen hissed nearby, smoke curling into the evening air. The smell hit them like a shock. Cooked food. Real food. Liesel stared as American soldiers ladled stew into metal tins. Thick, hot, steaming. The kind of meal they hadn't seen in months. One by one, the women stepped forward, still expecting a trick. Some refused to take it, sure it was poisoned. But then one, the youngest, barely 18, took a cautious sip, her eyes filled with tears. "It's meat," she whispered. The Americans didn't speak much. They handed out food, water, blankets. No shouting, no punishment, just routine efficiency. Some soldiers even looked away, as if embarrassed by how thin the women were. When Liesel finally took her portion, her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped it. The stew was warm, thick with potatoes, carrots, and something she hadn't tasted in months, flavor. It wasn't just food, it was mercy. Around her, women sat in the grass, silent, crying quietly as they ate. No guards beating them, no threats, no orders, only the sounds of spoons scraping tin bowls and the occasional soft murmur in English. Liesel looked at the soldier who had served her, a young man with mud on his boots and kindness in his eyes. She managed to whisper, "Why?" He looked at her for a moment, then shrugged. "Because you're human," he said, simply. For Liesel, it was the first time in years she had heard anyone, say that word like it meant something. That night, as the camp went quiet, the women lay awake under borrowed blankets, full for the first time in months. They could still hear laughter near the American tents, not mocking, but normal. Liesel closed her eyes and thought, "We thought they would kill us, but they fed us dinner instead." She would never forget that night, because for the first time since the war began, she felt something strange, safety. But peace always comes with questions, and what came next would test everything they thought they knew about the enemy and themselves. The second morning. The morning came soft and quiet, sunlight dripping through the fog, dew glistening on barbed wire. A truck rumbled to life somewhere beyond the tents, and the smell of coffee and smoke rolled through the camp. Liesel sat up, still wrapped in the rough wool blanket the Americans had given her. For a few seconds, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the guards, rifles slung over their shoulders, talking, laughing. Not the kind of laughter she'd grown used to, not cruel, just human. Beside her, Clara, another young POW, whispered, "They're smiling." It sounded like she was describing a miracle. The women were gathered near a wooden table where an American corporal was taking names. Each woman was given a small card stamped POW and a ration token. No shouting, no insults, no slaps. Just names, written carefully in English letters. When Liesel's turn came, the corporal looked up briefly and smiled. "Liesel Wagner?" he said, trying to pronounce it right. She nodded, too afraid to speak. He wrote it down slowly, as if each name mattered. Behind him, two cooks were stirring breakfast in a huge pot. Oatmeal, hot oatmeal, with sugar and dried fruit mixed in. Things that hadn't existed in Germany for months. One of the women began to cry just from the smell. As they ate, the camp doctor made rounds. An older man with a white armband, carrying a stethoscope and clipboard. He spoke softly, his accent thick with New York. "Any fever?" wounds, frostbite. He didn't care about their uniforms, their ranks, or the color of their flags. He just cared if they were alive. Later that afternoon, a jeep pulled up. 2 Red Cross nurses stepped out, American women in crisp khaki skirts and caps. They carried bandages, soap, and a crate of clean clothes. The German women stared, frozen.